Hello my friends and welcome back. Today we find ourselves in the lair of an evil Yeti king who's been terrorizing the village with nothing to defend ourselves except, what's this, a shield that we can use with a button to block attacks. And how do we, a sword we can also activate with a button and swing around with the stick. This is what we've been waiting for and tried so many times to craft. We finally found out how to make it and we can take on the Yeti king. If you guys are looking to take on a Yeti King of your own or make a game that uses first-person sword and shield, then you're in the right place. Today we're going to go over how to craft the sword and shield to be used with the mechanism. Then we're going to make it so they can't be used at the same time to make the game a little more balanced. And finally, we're going to give you guys the option of making the character stop every time they use the shield so they can't just plow through the level. Make sure you stick around to the end to see if we really can vanquish the Yeti King once and for all and set the people free. Here we are in the programming mode. As you can see, I have the person connected to a box that's connected to the camera, so the camera will be sitting on top. Then we just have the stick to move the person around. Let's go ahead and make the sword first. Once you have some room, let's go ahead and make the sword. So we're going to grab a simple cylinder, head into the settings. We're going to turn all the properties off except movable. Make the size X and Z are going to be 0.2. Since it's a cylinder, it'll change like that, and Y is going to be 2.1. Now go to the material, and we're going to make it 0 gravity. The connection point is going to be Y minus to X minus, and that's all you need. Now we're going to have to grab the texture for the sword. To see how I made the sword texture, you can look at my other tutorial on swords. Basically, I drew a white line down the middle, just made a stair step until there's one big box left, went straight down, filled one side dark and one side light. Not too difficult. Once you have that, you need to stretch it out to the length of your cylinder. It'll take some trial and error looking into the game to do that, but once you have it, you can connect it to your sword. Next, we're going to need to have a teleporter. This is how we're going to move our sword, so head into the teleport object and grab an entrance. We're going to change the settings, turn visible off. We're going to be teleporting only the cylinder, and we'll connect this one to the cylinder. Then head over to your person. Near your person, we're going to grab the teleport exit. And you can make it as small as you want, it doesn't really matter. For the teleport exit properties, we're going to turn it invisible. We're going to reset the physics, keep launch speed at 0 and Y plus as the direction. The connection point, we're going to change this one to Y minus for its own, and then Z minus for the target connection. Then you can exit out. Let's go ahead and hook it up to the person. Because our sword is not actually solid, we're going to need a way to destroy the enemies. Let's go into Launch Destroy Attract and grab a Destroy Object node on. We're going to attach that to the person. In the properties, we're going to turn it invisible, change the connection point to Z minus, so it'll be in front of the person. Then we're going to change the size to a little bit bigger than our sword size, or about the same size. And you're going to change it to destroy whatever enemies you want to destroy in one hit. Now we're going to need a button to activate this. This button is going to be whatever button you're using for your sword to swing it. So I'm going to use the B button. Attach that to the destroy port on that one. Since we programmed the destroy object node on, let's go ahead and use the same button to control the movement of the sword by teleportation. So hook the B button into your teleport object. Then we go into the level, and if you hold B, the sword will come right where you want it to be. You can control it by using the left stick, which is for movement. This is why we don't have the camera directly attached to the person. When you let go, the sword stays there because it doesn't teleport away. This is why we didn't make it solid. We can fix this by going back into the settings and just connecting the B button to the visibility port of the texture. So now we go in and we hold B and we swing it around, then we let go and it's gone even though it's still here. This is how we get our sword to appear and disappear on demand. So now that we have our sword all done, it's time to do the shield. But don't worry if you don't want to create a new texture. All you have to do is copy the sword texture, go into the settings, and flip it around a few times. Also, make sure that your texture face is set to Y center. Then we can turn this thing into a square, as big as you want your shield, and you have a nice little shield there. Next, we're going to call up the box object that we're going to use to make the shield. Head into the settings, make the X size 1.2. as well as the Z size. This should give us pretty full coverage. The Y size is going to be 0.1. This will be the thickness of the shield. Turn visible, destructible, and destructive off, except for what you want it to destroy. In my case, that would be sphere. Then we're going to make the connection point Z positive to Z negative. It'll be right in front of the person. Then we're going to hook this up to the shield. We're going to need a way to teleport it though from here to there. So let's go ahead and grab another teleport object entrance and hook that to our box as well. Of course, turn it invisible, and we're only teleporting the box. Over near the person again, all you have to do is copy the teleport exit. It'll automatically change to the next one, so go ahead and connect it to the person. Everything else on this should be fine using the same one as the sword physics. Let's go ahead and test it out. There we go, we have it just how we want it, except for it's teleporting constantly because we haven't set up a button. I'm going to use the ZL button. That's a common one for shields. Hook it into the teleport port, and also the visibility of the shield for the same reason as the sword. Alright, so now we have our shield, we have our sword, everything we need to go through an awesome adventure game. We can defend ourselves from the enemy and then attack them, but there's a little problem. See, we can use the shield and the sword at the same time, which means we can just walk right through these enemies, no problem. We're gonna have to find a way to make this more fair and more fun for the player. This part's actually going to be pretty easy. So let's start with the sword, and we need to make sure that when the shield button is pressed that we can't use the sword. To do this, all we have to do is disconnect whatever our sword button is connected to. Then we're going to grab the button we're using for our shield and use it as well. We're going to go into logic, grab a not function. We're also going to go to the same place and grab the and function. So to set this up, all we have to do is plug the shield into the not and the and, then plug our sword button into the and as well, and plug the outputs into what we had before, the texture as well as the teleporter. Now when we go into the level and I'm using the shield, I can't use the sword, and that's perfect, but I can still use the sword and then the shield because it's not programmed yet. So let's go ahead and do that on the shield as well. Let's move the button over here and disconnect it. Then we're going to call up whatever button you're using for the sword as well. And we're going to do basically the same thing on this side. We're going to add the not and the and function here. Let's hook the sword button not into one side of the and. Then we'll hook the output to the visibility port and the teleport. Now we should have what we want. So we use this one here, and then we use the sword. Can't use them at the same time. However, we still have another problem. It might be too easy to move through the level and just be able to shield the whole time. So we can actually make it that when you're using the shield, you can't move. It'll make it a little bit more fun. I highly recommend you only do this part for the shield. If you do it for the sword, it kind of throws off the physics. So let's go ahead and unhook our movement from the person. Then we're going to drag it somewhere where we have a lot of free space. Perfect. Go ahead and grab whatever button you were using for your shield. We're going to put this one right in the middle of these two. Then we're going to use the same logic not. However, we're going to change it up a little bit here. Let's go ahead and grab 2 multiplication nodons. We're going to be multiplying the movement by the not of the shield. So this means whenever we're pressing the shield, we're not going to be able to move. If you're not using a ton of nodons, you can go ahead and use some wormholes here. They're really convenient for linking things back up. They just help your code stay pretty clean. So make sure you use 2 different wormholes though, otherwise this isn't gonna work. We need one for the horizontal movement, one for the vertical movement. Then head back to your person. Let's go ahead and grab some exits, wormhole exits, size them down, and we'll put it right there. All right, now we should have all of the features working correctly. Whenever we use our shield, we have to stop, and then we can take a hit and then go and destroy the aliens blocking the Yeti. I recommend not doing it with your sword because then you can't move your sword around, but we're gonna go ahead and vanquish the Yeti King. If this video has helped you guys out, if you've enjoyed it, remember to subscribe and leave a like down below, as well as a comment of your favorite sword game. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, happy building, and God bless.